Hi, I'm Professor Sampson, and I'm going to give you a brief introduction to the proposed April 2022 Supply Chain Junior Orlando NetTrek. So, what is a NetTrek? We tour some companies of different types. We learn about supply chain practice. We meet some executives. We see some state-of-the-art supply chain management. We also hang out with our classmates, which is great, perpetuating the supply chain program culture and building the graduate network. And in fact, if you look at this picture here, this was a tour at Darden Restaurant's headquarters in Orlando. This person right here is Carly Goff, and she was here just this past month recruiting for Sunrise Technologies. How great is that? So we want to build a really strong alumni network that will have, people have good friends that we want to stay engaged in the years to come. All right, so in 2020, in February, we did a pilot of this involving some of the seniors. And on February 26th, which was a Wednesday, we flew from Salt Lake to Orlando, and we took vans to the hotel. Then we stayed at the Hyatt Place Hotel, a wonderful hotel in Orlando. And one of the favorite parts of that was the breakfast bar. They had a wonderful buffet breakfast that we had every day. Then on Thursday, we toured the Port Tampa Bay and saw, basically Tampa Bay area. We had lunch with the Moscrips, and it was great. It was really fantastic. It was at the country club near where they live. And here we have a picture out on their golf course afterwards. And if you haven't met them yet, here's our awesome benefactors, the Moscrips. They're the ones that paid for most of this trip. On Thursday, we also toured Darden Restaurant's headquarters, as I mentioned previously. And it was very interesting seeing how they develop new concepts and get them to market and manage their distribution and so forth. On Friday, the 28th, we toured the Disney Distribution Center and saw how it's actually amazing how many different items they have in their distribution center there for the Disney parks as well as all the Disney properties. Then in the afternoon on that day, we went to Universal Studios, and as you can see, the wait time, it wasn't that greatest. This was the Hagrid ride, and I actually didn't go on it because it was 150 minutes. But the students that went on it said it was great. So now I feel bad that I didn't wait the 150 minutes to give it a try. Saturday, we toured the Deseret Cattle and Citrus Ranch, which is in kind of east of Orlando, and it was fascinating. Everybody that did that thought it was just a great experience. And we had a barbecue before we headed to the airport. So we got some feedback from the 2020 NetTrek. Some of that was, should we have a Supply Chain Orlando NetTrek again in the future? And overwhelmingly, the students that responded to our survey said we definitely should do this again. We asked, if we have a NetTrek in the future, would it be better to do it in the first year or second year of the program? Most students said the second year. We're going to come back to this, but these were all second-year students that were responding in this survey, and so we're going to make a little adjustment here. We're proposing shifting this to the first year for a few reasons that we'll talk about later. One of the survey questions was, the NetTrek actually cost about $850 with airfare and hotel and the provided food and so forth, which was mostly covered by the Moscrip Endowment. And so we had each student pay $300 towards the cost. And if we do a NetTrek again in 2022, we'll probably do the exact same thing, is that we'll have the students each have to pay probably $300 towards the cost. So we asked what they thought about that $300, and the vast majority of the students said that they thought that was about right. How likely would you recommend the Supply Chain Orlando NetTrek to future supply chain students? Again, 17 of the, I don't remember what it was, 23 respondents said that they definitely would. We gave it the high rating here. For those of you that might have taken my CRM class, you'll see that this is called the Net Promoter Score scale. And in fact, we have 20 promoters and we have 1 distractor according to that particular scale, which gives a Net Promoter Score of a whopping 82.6%, which is actually pretty phenomenal. That means this is a winner. So, here's what the proposal is for 2022. We propose that, first, we move it from February to April. We are going to need more time this year because of COVID and planning, travel planning, and things being opened up and so forth. That more time will be very helpful to us to have a few more months of planning preparation. Also, it won't disturb the semester or disrupt it. What happened in February is students had to miss a few days of class. And so instead of having students miss class, by moving it to April, we will have it after the semester is over so that it won't disrupt class. It implies shifting to the first year, because second-year students will have graduated by then, and so can't do the NetTrek. So one of the things is the last time we had the NetTrek in February, those that were December grads had already graduated, so they couldn't participate. So by shifting it to April and having the first-year students involved in the NetTrek, it allows all the students that want to participate and doesn't exclude the December graduates. We have two alternatives for this. Alternative A is Wednesday through Saturday. That's what we did in the 2020, is did it Wednesday through Saturday. One of the implications of that is that it will overlap the last day of finals. Now, the last day of finals is kind of a quasi-day anyway. It's not a full day of final exams. But any students that happen to be scheduled for finals on that last day will have to take them early if they're going to go on the NetTrek. So that's just kind of what happens with option A. Another option that has been proposed is that we would do it the next Monday through Thursday afterwards, which means finish up finals. You have, 3 days or 4 days through the weekend, and then we would do it that next week, which we could also do, but with perhaps some limitations. So we're going to think about this, and I'm going to do some voting on this in just a little bit. Proposal number 2 for the 2022 NetTrek is a consolidated company tours. And when we did it, as you saw from the schedule from 2020, what we had was some of the tours, we had each day, and then we did some other more recreational activities intermixed throughout this. We wound up not spending an entire day at Universal Studios. So for 2022, one of the proposals is that we would shift to having perhaps all the tours on Thursday, maybe Disney parks again, lunch with the Moss Scripts, which is a must, and then maybe visit Darden Restaurants headquarters or the Deseret Cattle and Citrus property or something like that. And then on Friday, we would have it just be purely for amusement. We can go to the amusement park early. Earlier last year, in 2020, we went to Universal Studios, and that was largely because of cost and logistics reasons, is that students were given the option to vote and voted for Universal Studios. But we could also potentially do Disney properties that are more spread out, and maybe that could be accessible as well. So the idea is that we'd have one day of kind of business tour things, and then the second day of just leisure, visiting the amusement parks, spending time with all our friends in the program. Proposal number 3, if we do go with the Wednesday through Friday or Saturday option, we would have the option of flying out of Provo potentially. Allegiant has a flight from Provo to St. Petersburg, Florida on Wednesdays, and it's kind of midday, so it would get us there in time for our Thursday activities. And then they have a flight back on Saturday that would be kind of midday, a pretty decent time here, so we can actually fly in and out of Provo, which could be more convenient on this side of things. We have to recognize that Allegiant has a very limited schedule at present, and they only fly Wednesdays and Saturdays to Florida. So that means if we want to fly out of Provo, it's going to have to be alternative A. So that's just a general overview of some of the thoughts that I've been having and discussing with the other faculty in the supply chain group about what we would do if we do a NetTrek in 2022. If it doesn't work for us to fly with Allegiant, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this, we would have to go back to Salt Lake City. We'd have to travel in and out of Salt Lake City. All right. So what I want to do is get some idea of what people would prefer to do. There is a Slido survey that I've set up, and here's the barcode for it, or the QR code, I guess we call this, and the login if you wanted to just access it from a browser. And you can actually log into this now after just watching this video, and you can post comments, but the survey isn't live yet. I'm going to do the survey in class on October 21st, and in the survey I'll ask 2 questions. One is, how likely would you attend an Orlando NetTrek if it was April 20th through 23rd, which is at alternative A? And then how likely would you attend if it was the April 25th through the 28th, which would be that next week? To get an idea if there's preferences for one over the other, or if they're both equally preferred. And if you don't plan to attend either of them, you can say, no, I'm not going to plan to attend any of the NetTreks, I'm not interested in that. So again, I created this video because I don't want to take very much of the class time on this Thursday, October 21st. I don't want to take very much class time going over the details of this, so I made this video for this. But I do want to answer any questions you might have, and then we can talk about this voting and use the Slido survey software to do some voting so I can get an idea of what people are interested in doing so that we can then press forward in plans. Because even though it's going to be in April, we're going to have to start some of the preliminary plans before the end of this current semester. That's all.